all over the world, people are dealing with the same thing, that is coronavirus. But I honestly believe that America might be the only country where it's seen as a political issue as opposed to a pandemic. Do you know what I mean? It seems like something you can choose to believe in or not, or where you stand politically defines whether, like, the legitimacy of the virus. Whereas in other places, they argue about how to deal with it, but the virus itself is not like a political issue.
And there are arguments. Listen, we're not the only country that's arguing about how much to limit freedom of movement and having, in Italy, you saw, big demonstrations and protests against, trying to confine people to a certain extent. But I think a reasonable view of it would be it's not being done for the sake of tyranny. We are actually facing something where tens of thousands of people are dying. And it's, if you think about it, like, it's like preparing for a hurricane. When a hurricane is coming, there's always those people that are like, government's full of shit. I'm not going to board up my windows. But this is a hurricane that if we prepare for it, the hurricane weakens. And that doesn't happen normally. But because in this country now we've set up parallel universes in the multiverse that the right lives in, this is an infringement. It kind of, the mask thing is what blows my mind because, surgeons wear them in operating rooms. And they don't wear them because, they drive Volvos and sip chai tea and listen to NPR. Like, they wear them because, so I just want to say to people on the mask thing, like, great. Next time you're having an operation and the surgeon comes in with washed hands and a mask, just be like, don't be a pussy. Don't be some liberal puss. You take off that mask and you unwash your hands and you stick your paws in my open gaping wound. Because apparently sanitary conditions are a liberal myth.
I knew you, obviously, I mean, we knew each other when you were leaving the Daily Show. You were like, I'm getting into different things. I'm taking time with my family. I'm going to do a movie here or there. It was interesting for me to see you do a political movie. I was like, John, aren't you just going to get away from politics altogether? But then you made a movie that wasn't just about politics, but it was almost about the game that is beneath politics. I was shocked the first time I went to New Hampshire for the primaries. And I was sitting with, like, the aides of these politicians, and even the reporters, and they were like, oh yeah, they hang out, they chat, they go out for drinks afterwards. And I was like, what do you mean? They hate each other on screen, and then we hate people on each other's behalfs, and I see it happening in the country, but they are friends, and I didn't understand that concept. And it seems like that's what you're showing people in this movie, is that we don't realize that the WWE of politics is not as real as we think it is. And we're willing to die for the Undertaker, but the Undertaker is just a guy named Bill who goes home with Triple H and they carpool. You know what I mean?
Right. Let's not draw the Undertaker into this. First of all, he is a marvelous wrestler and was undefeated at WrestleMania. So let's not, until obviously Lesnar. Listen. I didn't want to make a movie about the political moment.
Right.
I feel like that's the Daily Show. And that's what you guys do so well, is you do the weather. Every night you come out and you talk about the political moment. And you bring the funny and the insight and the context to the political moment. I really wanted to think about it as the climate and the system and that idea that we have kind of created this complex of media and moneyed interests and politicians, and they all work and enrich each other, and there's very little accountability, and it grows in, those types of symbiotic structures don't dismantle themselves. Here's this system with its own inertia and energy and self-interest and incentives to entrench itself and to grow itself. And it's really at odds with any relevant facts on the ground. Or the system we have in place to elect people is almost working antithetically to the system we have in place to try and govern people. And we don't really have a robust governance system, but we've got an incredibly enriching and robust and corrupt and corrosive system of elections, of campaigns, and of influence.